Scott, I think that you maybe were 3 minutes late because you knew we were going to be dicking around for 3 minutes with lights.
No, I it's because of the exact opposite. I was dicking around. I had to make an edit to Merlin's Zoom background on Twitter.
Oh,
so.
Is it on Twitter now?
Yeah, it's on Twitter now. I mean, it's
all right. Let me see here. Okay. Oh shit, dog. Oh shit. You guys, I look like a thought leader.
You look nice today.
California King.
I don't know if you guys know this, but anything can be art.
Anything can be art.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Like I kind of just found out, but anything can.
I didn't know that. Did you know that? The first page of, I would say, 100 Years of Solitude is very good. That's it took them to discover ice. Yeah, and they start putting Post-it notes on everything because they lose their it's a Central American memory. I think I haven't.
Yeah, you put that in like a walnut frame, maybe like an inch and a half.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great on a wall for sure.
It's gonna look true. Oh, you know what I could do is Monster Manual. That would look pretty good. It's downloading that. Yeah, I'll work this out. Bitcoin Beginner. Why did I get that? God, Scott, you gotta get this. You gotta get this store figured out. What the fuck is going on with these people?
What are you looking at? I don't even know what you're looking at.
Oh, I'm looking through what we used to call iBooks. I think it's just called books now.
Oh yeah, that store. That sucks. That's a.
Yeah. Oh, there's 100 Years of Solitude. Okay. That's
oh my
good.
God. Speaking of iBooks, so I read books with my son on the iPad now, and we're very heavily into the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, but he also likes Minecraft. And the other day he was like, I don't feel like Wimpy Kid tonight. Can we look for something else? And so we looked up Minecraft joke book. There was like a Minecraft joke book, and it was absolutely terrible. And it has no. It wasn't funny, for one. I mean, Scott, do you still know people? Could you put in a word and just get that removed?
Just
Scott,
get it
could you contact somebody there and just ask them to like punch it up a little bit?
Oh, that's another. People usually never asked us to do that. They would always complain that, let's say there was an issue with the download or syncing or something. Nobody ever specifically requested that a book be improved. I don't know why. It's a great question. I mean, especially something like a Minecraft joke book. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have the premise. It's not like I would, as the improver of that text, go in and change the basic idea, add my own flair to it. I would just make the jokes good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You could do that. I mean, anybody could do that. The jokes were really horrid.
Do you remember any of them, Adam? Is it things about mining at night and like you got to hit a tree and turn it into a table or whatever the fuck? Do you remember the nature of the jokes? Were they super inside baseball? Is it that they were not funny and not germane to Minecraft, or they were about Minecraft? It was
mostly that.
Not
Minecraft was the afterthought. I think it was just a sort of why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side in Minecraft? It was kind of like just stapled onto the end as a cash grab.
Right. Well, that's a classic ebook technique, isn't it? Especially as seen in the genre of erotica and romance books, where they take one basic plot or premise, and then they make him a dinosaur one day, and
he's a billionaire dinosaur that pounds you in the butt. And then there's some jokes at the end. That's what David Foster Wallace would do. It says footnotes, and then you go to the back. And it's like, it's more like Tyrannosaurus sex.
Yeah. Well, the novel's in the footnotes in that case. You thought you purchased a 100-page book about gay dinosaurs, but when you get to the footnotes, you realize later that that's where all of the actual the creative churning of the author takes place. It's 10 times longer than the books themselves usually.
Think about like on Amazon where you go and you want to see reviews, and you'll sometimes see that little thing. You used to work at Amazon too, Scott. I don't know if you know that. You see a little thing that says verified purchaser or something like that. And they're like, meh, I bought this plastic machine gun for my grandson and he used it to make a snow fort, 1 star, whatever. But it seems to me that if you are somebody who has purchased an iBook, an information book, that now you should get the right for the occasional request for punch up, almost like a feature request, or what we used to call a radar, now you call a feedback.
Like a bug report.
Post a feedback, on like 1984, a little bleak. Like, could there be more Minecraft in it?
Or I'll when I'm reading a book, I'll come across a flabbily constructed run-on sentence that could just use a little trim here and there. They don't have to be major issues. They can just be little tweaks, like how apps will release version after version with tweaks along the way.
Bug fixes and improved interface were making it easier for you to enjoy this Dan Brown novel, and so we've made some of the sentences make sense, for example.
Right.
That's such a good. Yeah. It's a living book would be a great feature for iBooks if you could, because I know you can add your own footnotes to a book in iBooks. What if you could read other people's notes to in the margins, but then you could also, the book that you're trying to read is constantly updated. Edited in real time as you're trying to read it. It becomes completely,
it keeps changing,
illegible.
Almost like, you take something like classic literature, you take like a Ulysses or something, or and then you combine that with Wikipedia, and then certain sections you have to lock,
never locked though. Always changing. Like words jump around the page, untrackable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, you know what we call that art.
Walt Whitman, a classic example of someone whose the first version of Leaves of Grass looks much, much different from later and final versions of the book.
Okay.
Now, often what's come to us and what editors subsequently have decided is that the first or the middle or later versions are better than the others. The Wasteland, another great example of a poem that started very differently from the way it finished. So we have examples in literature itself of works that have themselves changed over time. Adam, you're simply suggesting a modernized, dare I say, scalable version of that would allow the author to, let's say, send out the first draft. Let's say that author Dan Brown just puts Da Vinci Code 2, Da Vinci.
To Da Vinci 2 code.
Dan Brown.
But then you
also
get you find a fascist. You get a fascist for rent. You get your own personal Ezra Pound, and then they come in. They punch it up a little bit. Say too much Grail myth. Let's add more descriptions of like a brass fitting or something. Something that Dan Brown, and I believe Dan Brown. God rest his soul, I believe he's deceased. So I don't know if his estate would mind this. I'm imagining they would like to basically print some extra money. Get people to buy new versions of this that hang on their wall that are updating in real time because of Ezra Pound.
Well, if nothing else, Dan Brown spiritually is deceased. Fascists and libertarians and other unpopular political perspectives often get a bad rap because, let's say, they advocate for the murder of a large group of people. Whatever. The truth is, as editors, they can often be extremely great resources of another perspective, and that the person who writes the work, who creates this book, is often the last person you would want to take a blue pencil to
People might enjoy that. I mean, you get the wrong person on the right book. No, I don't like to read. I like to edit. I like to animate the letters in a way that calls for the death of Nancy Pelosi or whatever. I mean, that would probably be something. I don't know if that would be Animal Farm or all the King's Men or whatever. But I think we would get a lot more people interested in books if they didn't have to read them and they just got to change them.
If they could be involved in the creative process, and there's even more precedent if we look at other forms of art, movies. That's a whole job. Editors.
Oh, like Sweeting, but this is even setting aside how many different Blades Runner there are. This one's got the voiceover and this one doesn't, and Brazil and stuff like that. But that could happen. That could happen with books. I don't think the iBooks, as we used to call it, platform is doing great, and I would have to imagine with the contacts I assume you have there.
Absolutely,
you're probably not allowed back in the building at all, but you could contact people. You could message people about it. Maybe this is an idea that could save that particular industry. Services income, we're looking for that to go up. Maybe this becomes, part of Apple plus is like now you can use your iPhone, to change, like an Oscar Wilde. It's too clever by a half. Let's calm it down a little bit. Let's get some of this extramarital sex out. Maybe Ballad of Reading Jail becomes a little more peppy. Does it have to be so sad? Does it have to be jail?
Yeah, I think that I don't know this. I don't know any more information than anyone else does publicly, but Apple Arcade doesn't seem to be something that's got a lot of swing nowadays, right? So if let's say you combine those two things, right? You take an Apple, you take the iBooks, the world of iBooks, the world of Apple Arcade. Let's say you have a Tender is the Night style first-person shooter where you're running around the books and you're making changes.
Is that Sam Shepard? Is that who that is?
Isn't that Scott Fitzgerald? Isn't that
or Thomas Hardy? But somebody.
Sure.
But the idea is you could have an Anna Karenina video game that's included with your account, and you get to drive the train. No spoilers, but that's the kind of thing where every video game's unhappy in a different way. But now you have a place to go for that. You can just swipe around on your phone like you're already fucking around on there all day.
Yeah.
There's no parlor right now. And people need something to fill the time. A creative outlet, yes, or maybe a destructive outlet, because people don't like books.
People don't like books, and they don't. If you had the opportunity to, instead of read a book, to beat a book, like in video games, like I just beat chapter 6 of whatever. Like that would be
a book. I can't think of a book right now, but a book.
You'll get it. No. We'll keep going. Jump in when you think of one. You could do a speed run through Tractatus or something like that, or like a critique of pure reason. How quickly can you get through a Heidegger book? It's being and time, and then Anna Karenina is a separate thing, but that is included for a separate fee. I think that's a great idea. I think people would love that. They don't have anything else to do right now. Everybody's at home. Everybody's angry and bored and sad. And if you could destroy a piece of literature that other people claim to read, doesn't that kind of make you better? Let's be honest. You can stream it on Twitch.
Huh. What if this was an opportunity for all of the dead soldiers of the media industry, the Barnes and Nobles, the GameStops, the Blockbuster Videos, to sort of come together and form sort of Voltron, a superstore that nobody wants,
like a dead media goulash.
Yeah, but they all sort of combine forces into one mega media that somehow gets it all wrong at the same time.
It's like a flaming retail Jenga, and nobody wants to touch the wood. Kind of. Like you go to the mall now, and they're really at the mall now. I've been like twice in the last year. They're really trying to dress up all the empty stores. Put things in there.
That is an exercise in deep spiritual futility.
So why not close ranks, join arms, and you bring all those resources together. So you get something like a casual corner where you could come in and get like a coffee. Capital One, they're offering coffee in their lobby now. I think there's a lot of places where people are trying to synergize, and people love the mall, but they don't have anything to do there, and they don't have any money. So let's put them to work. Put them in the window of what used to be the casual corner, and that's where they could be. I don't know, editing something like a Plato's Cave. Maybe Plato's Cave becomes an interactive thing where you go in and you try to find the puppets, and then you chase the shadows, and you, as they say, level up. You get a cursed sword, and you get an enchanted robe, and you put that in your bag of holding.
Yeah, it's a VR experience.
Yeah, VR parlor. There used to be sort of laser taggy kind of things in the mall too. I'm sure that could come into play. But maybe you're just like throwing books at other people.
Yeah, like literal books.
Yeah, literal books.
Laser tag, but instead of lasers, you're throwing actual hardcover books at each other. That's a great idea. Hardcover books, surprisingly painful. Yeah. Durable
and very, very sharp if you get hit with the edge. But you think about, you got a little kid, you got a baby. You talk about pre-literacy, and that's the idea of like having books around your kid, even if they're stupid and can't. Yeah. But then we're talking about post-literacy because nobody likes books anymore. And when you go to the mall, it would be nice to be able to go there. And we say to you, it's sort of like where we say, I'm going to learn to meditate, so I got an app. That's not meditation. That's using an app. It's the same thing here, except now you get to say that you're doing books. Maybe it won't make it popular again, but it at least give people something to throw. I think. It doesn't have to be. It could be. Maybe you start where you bring your little kid in, your stupid baby, and they just kind of like they drool on a paperback. But that's a kind of en media res literacy, as long as you don't consider reading part of literacy.
I mean, certainly those. Did you guys ever take your kids to those? Well, I don't even know if they were popular. They had one at Tanforan at the mall, one of the malls that we go to.
The spinny penis thing, that thing. The little park you go in next to laser tag, and it's got the phalluses that turn around in the bouncy house thing where you go in and take your shoes off and it smells like feet, and then your kid rides a penis for a while.
Like a Russian children's airport lounge. Like everything was just a little wrong and a little gooey.
Somebody's hastily painted Winnie the Pooh on the wall.
I like, boy, Russian Winnie the Pooh. He's resigned. He's resigned to so much.
Is that a bottle of water? Sure.
I was thinking of the Nerf gun battle zone over by Target. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like right before you got into Target,
of course I do. That was our go-to hangout mall. It's the saddest mall in the world, and we used to go there all the time. You could go to the movies. You could go to that terrible, terrible food court. And and they really pushed that. Then they had the rides, and they had the arcade games, and it was all in this winter. Do you remember the area at Tanforan where they had all the like jockey and horse related things that your kids could play on next to the penis pavilion?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So that would be fun. Like if you're a little heavy and don't like to read, maybe you could just come in and write a circulating penis between breaks of editing James Joyce on a Wikipedia style storefront.
I told you guys about the time my car was broken into. I was parked in the Tenderloin in San Francisco late at night. I went to a bar. I came back, and my car had been smashed in. The side window was smashed in, and very luckily they didn't. There was a person there who was willing to tell me where they had put my car registration for a nominal fee. So I asked him and paid him for that, and he gave that back to me. I don't know if he just like was there.
The person who smashed your car contacted you?
You know, I'm telling this story poorly because as I tell it, I'm realizing something. I'm realizing that there was more going on than I figured out at the time.
Oh no!
Wow.
What do you think happened?
That's so funny. All I was gonna say was someone broke into my car and they took all the stuff that you'd expect to take. They took the change from my car. They took some random things. They took like weird stuff like my dental floss. They left some very small bottles of perfume in the back seat. Just strange stuff had happened to my car. The one thing that they didn't touch were 4 books in the back on the back seat. Like they had searched. They not only didn't touch them, they like searched around them for anything else. So this is just a note for people who have to carry diamonds or other extremely valuable things around with them. Just put them in the pages of some creative nonfiction, some literary fiction, something with more than 400 pages. No one will touch it. You'll be able to hide. You could drop that on the sidewalk in a busy street, and it'll be there tomorrow when you come back.
Nobody steals books. You could just put it in your Nasguard. Like you just stick it in there, put it between the pages. Is there a chance, Scott, that maybe a la The Game, is there a chance that somebody made your car into an escape room mystery that you're still figuring out?
Well, here's what I realized as I was gonna tell that just little specific story because it was relevant to books and it all kind of tied in. But as I was 15% of the way through the story, a little thing in my head that I always thought was like a lucky break was that they didn't take the little packet of papers that I had in there, the registration, the insurance forms that were at the time more important. Instead, when I got back to the car, the window had been smashed in. A guy, I thought very helpfully, told me that my car had been broken into, but he saw where they threw those papers. And I said, "Oh, where are they?" He said, "I don't know. Can you help me out?" And I said, "Sure. Here's $5." And then he's like, "Oh, they're over here." And he went into the bushes near where the car was, and he pulled out the registration and stuff for the car. Which this is just a sub-realization that's in no way germane to the reason why I brought this up. But I just realized that I had been double scammed. I got double robbed. He went in after, I assume, and took the papers out and hid them, and then sold them back to me for a fee? Is that what happened? I have no idea.
He's Verbal Kint. Like he's he's the guy behind the scenes. He might have been the ringleader all along. You know what
I don't
mean?
know. The more I
What am
realize,
thinking of? Maybe I'm thinking of 7. Maybe it was more like 7, less like the usual. Something with everybody loves Kevin Spacey. Was it Kevin Spacey?
He was Kaiser Soze, essentially.
That's
he was
it.
the Kaiser
Okay.
Soze of your car.
that's exactly right. He was the person who I suspected least, who it turned out in the end was in some way.
Does every
involved.
car have a Kaiser Soze and we just don't know it until the time? Is it a long con? It's an extremely short con. But So it's almost like a fairy godmother, but the opposite, and Kevin Spacey. And then they get into your car and then they're just collecting fees. That's pretty smart if you think about it.
It's a good business. I think that the Tenderloin and you guys have spent time there. It's full of crime, but it's not full of violent crime. It's full of all the various
crime. It's full of weird crime.
It's full of all the fun non-violent ways to extract $5 to $25 from another person, whether that's fake drugs or saying that that's holding a golf club and saying that they'll watch your parking spot. Which,
well, it starts when people wave you into a space, and you're like,
the wave in.
There's somebody who's appointed themselves the parking attendant for 6th Street, and then they want to wave you into a spot, and you're like, I'm good, thanks. And then they offer to sell you one leg of some sweatpants, and maybe and then two dogs are fighting over the lid from a McDonald's cup, and there's a lot of people crying and defecating on the street. It's a very interactive experience in a way that books are definitely not. There's no reason the Tenderloin couldn't be its own theme park. I'm not sure. I think the theme would be confusing. That's the theme. But there's very few books. Nobody buys books anymore.
Like you call it the Situation District. I've had a lot of low moments in that part of town. I like
it's a really good place for it.
Yeah. I once saw a discarded mattress that had spray painted on the mattress, Dana, I'll be back at 2. Like that was
So
somebody had just used.
It's a messaging platform.
They had used a full mattress and can of spray paint to leave a post-it note
as a text message. Yeah, it's like the Stonehenge of current. It's like of post-it notes. It's Easter Island.
Yeah, it's the Yap money of post-it notes.
Yeah.
Because it was immobile. Because if you live when you live outside, there's no refrigerator to put messages on, right? When you're a person who is unhoused, you don't have a central place to let people know where you're going to be at 2:00. And so you have to take something like a mattress, which is essentially immobile. If it's pick upable, no one wants to pick it up, and then that's your refrigerator.
It's almost like a jumbotron for the Situation District. One time I went to Toulon and I was crossing 6th at Market, and in the middle of the intersection, it's a very busy intersection. There's a lot of situations, and I watched a man exchanging a bicycle rim for a large knife. So there's commerce. It's commerce going on as well.
There's a lot of barter economy going on.
Economy messaging platforms. Okay.
It's a services based economy in a lot of cases.
A lot of service going on for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
so you can meet new people, and
I got another one.
Okay, go.
And let me preface this last one by saying that I don't drink anymore. So I don't spend, and I won't spend, time in this part of town like I used to, going to going to bars or going to do
You go to Park 55 and hang out with your Apple friends who are in town.
Go to there.
That's a hub for that, yeah.
And also doing comedy, you'll have a Tuesday night, and there are very few shows, so you got to do some bar in some random place, and it often can be quite boring. I was walking around, this is several years ago, after last call, heading somewhere, and this homeless woman or woman on the street was very nice and asked me for money. I think I gave her $1, and she's very sweet, and she gave me a hug, and then I walked away, and she walked away, and this is a true story. She walked away, and I looked back, and in her very tight pants, I could see perfectly the outline of my wallet, which had made it, because I was checking my pocket for where my wallet was at the time, and fortunately I was able to call her on it, and it didn't end badly. I
How much did it cost you? How much did it cost you to get it back?
Didn't cost me anything. I think it was just one of those situations where it was just like, whoops. We had a laugh.
Seem to have misplaced my wallet in your pants.
In your pants. I'm
so
sorry.
So when they give away bobbleheads at the ballpark, you paid for the ticket. You bought the ticket, get the bobblehead. In that case, that's like a little lanyap, a little freebie for you. Good for her. That's really nice.
It felt like that kind of honor among thieves situation where it was like, listen, if you had been able to cleanly extract in my wallet and get away, no harm done. But we have to admit, you did it. You botched it. So.
Scott, I watch a lot of movies.
Looser pants, okay?
Looser pants.
I don't know why it was there. That is a true story. I have no idea why the wallet was there, and I think I only recognize it as my wallet because I was at the exact moment checking for my wallet, and it was no longer there.
I watch a lot of movies. I love heist movies. I feel like this happens in like an Ocean's 11 or. But like, is it possible, or maybe Inception, like, draw a maze that I can solve in 1 minute. Like, is it possible you didn't realize that you're beginning to put together a team for a heist? Because usually there's a test. There's a test of some kind where you're like, and now I got your wallet. And you're like, aha, we're not so different, you and I.
Right.
So, let's rob the mattress store or something. I don't know what a heist would look like in the Situation District, but I imagine there's a lot of intrigue.
I can tell you this. I can put together a team for sure. I got Five Finger Missy. I got
because she notably has 5 fingers on each
fingers. Hand. That's right.
That's how you recognize her. Yeah.
I've got Two-Eyed Joe.
Wheelchair guy with cute dog.
Here's the thing. In the Tenderloin, people are notable by their normal physical attributes. So if you have 2 eyes, that's actually kind of a funny nickname. So Two-Eyed Joe.
Pat, he's that guy that doesn't have encephalitis. You know him, right? Oh, yeah, right.
Let's see. We have our thief. We have the guy who'll watch our van when we're in the bank. With his golf club for a fee, and then let us know where the registration for the van is.
It's $5 to get it back, but you knew what you were getting into.
That's fine. We got the guy who will wash our windows as we're driving to the spot.
There's the master of disguise, the guy who constantly claims that he's Barry Bonds, and you're like, you're not Barry Bonds. I'm Barry Bonds. It's like, could you hang out with the van watcher? Who watches the van watcher?
I mean, I guess we've got to figure out what
are we going to hike?
Certainly, we've got a team. I mean, we only need 3 or 4 folks aside from us who have those very specific skills. What can we? I mean, we could. I guess we could. I don't know.
The stores are gone. I think the Gap isn't the Gap gone. There's something that could be cryptocurrency, something involving a cable car. Would not go for books. You're really only a couple blocks away from that mall that I was talking about. You get some shoes. This is not necessarily an idea, but it's something that occurs to me. The Tenderloin is also one of those. It's a great neighborhood. Like we'll make fun of it for being iffy at night, but it's a great neighborhood. It's one of the few places in San Francisco that you'll see families and children. There are a lot of interesting restaurants. Some might say that there's a kind of gentrification element to it that's
that's dangerous, but the tenderloin has such weight that those gentrified or fancy elements can't take enough control to really be troublesome. I don't know if we appoint ourselves protectors of the overall vibe of that neighborhood.
I think we become promoters, because the thing
Right.
is, talking about those folks who come to town, I had a friend from England who came to town for Macworld WWDC something, and he was like, is it like this everywhere? I'm like, well, the Tenderloin is really like this, but historically, that's the part of town where people come and they don't know what they're really in for.
Yeah.
Like my poor sweet mother, she's like, oh, I found a really good deal on a hotel. It's called the International Ambassador something, and like the fancier the name of a hotel in the Tenderloin, the more likely you really want to. Oh, it's called the Cadillac Ranch or whatever.
The fancier the name, the longer the rates that you can pay to stay there.
What if we made it more of a What if we made it into more of a destination? Something where people, because tourism. I mean, you get the Germans coming to town, they don't know what they're in for. They're wearing fucking short pants.
Yeah.
So, but what if we turn it into a destination? And then it's whatever it is when they get there, they're going to find some situations that you're not going to get in Hamburg or Munich.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I've definitely seen a lot of pills for sale. So maybe we do like a quick pill run. You know how they'll do like a French cheese tour of Paris? So you go on this lady who's tall and shouty will tell you about the soft cheese and the hard cheese for an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. This is an old world cheese. But you're saying we give somebody a flight of pills. Come on in here. Some of these are probably Pez, but we're not sure.
We're not sure.
Come on in. Like, you're staying nearby. You're at the International Ambassador American Hotel, which is now it's $72 a night, and it comes with a hot plate. Octu Libre. This place is amazing.
Why does my hotel room have no toilet but an extremely fancy jacuzzi?
That's up to you to solve. Himmelun Pankaken. What's happening with my room? This is very international. And then you go downstairs and like you give them some money to get your bag back. But it's fun. Are these books for anyone? Absolutely.
It's very important.
Change them all you want. It's totally fine.
I think it's one of the most important things for us as we curate this experience for people is that we are not interested. It gives us no pleasure to make fun of some of the poverty that you'll see, or some of the addiction or other kind of negative social issues that are here. We're not making fun of that. Mm-mm. We're simply saying, why don't you go check it out? And that didn't really go where I wanted it to go.
Well,
I don't know what I was trying to say.
They're not going to print this on the. Well, they're not going to print this on the ticket. But if you call it,
what I was trying to say? I was just afraid of being. I was trying.
Oh no, we're dead. We're totally fucking canceled. But if you pitch it to the Germans as I don't know how you say this in German, a desperation vacation. You come and there's going to be a lot of things wrong, and maybe it's a little bit like Highlights magazine, where you try to figure out who's goofus and who's gallant, and like, what's this pill going to do? Like, I'm not sure. Will it make me larger or smaller? But like, I've got my Kindle, so I just got that back for $5. Come on in.
And finally,
when you go to a place like Munich, they have those ridiculous beer party bicycles where 20 people sit around and pedal, and it takes you through the center of town, and you drink beer the whole time. Maybe we have something like that, but for reading, which would be awful.
Also, Scott, as you know, this butts up against, it could be for reading, but it also butts up against the theater district, which surprises a lot of people who have a room at the American International Boutique Hotel. But like, it butts up against theater. You love comedy. You love to laugh. Like, what if there's a theatrical component? Like, I don't know if it's going to be mimes or people doing a tight five on airplane food, or what it would be. But like, maybe part of it is there is a mystery to solve. It's just that even we don't know what the mystery is, and that really that's the heart of the situation. You're in the heart of the situation district.
The heart of the situation is that you don't really know what's happening. I used to do a show in a theater that also at the same time sold extremely inexpensive hair extensions. So as I was telling jokes to one time literally two people from Kuala Lumpur, we were all surrounded by, hanging up on the wall, just mats of human hair that was around us and for sale. That's just a really clean example of a tenderloin.
There's a lot of things
business
like that in San
experience.
Francisco. There's places like you can throw your kid a birthday party where they make pottery or something like that, or ceramics. But people like to have something to do with their hands. You know, it used to be you could play Mr. Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man on like a cocktail console. Except in this case, you're trying to get the keys to your van back, or maybe you go back to your room and they took the door off your SRO. But in any case, it's going to be something that's going to be an adventure, and you're gonna go back with some stories to tell, and maybe
you
an
go back with
expensive knife.
some bed bugs.
Well, yeah. Do we call them that? Do we need to rebrand that? That needs some punch up. What do we call them? We call them night pals.
This has been You Look Nice Today.
California King.
Thank you.